Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Points of Articulation. My name's Dave and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Today I'm looking at the Hot Wheels Star Wars Starships Select AT-AT Walker released in 2023. This vehicle was first seen in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. For those who don't know, an AT-AT stands for All-Terrain Armored Transport, and they were seen specifically in The Empire Strikes Back during the Battle of Hoth, and then there was one scene in Return of the Jedi when they were getting Luke on Endor. So, pretty awesome stuff. I love the AT-AT or AT-AT. Many people fight over the exact name, but I guess it is the same exact thing. It's just how you pronounce it, which everybody seems to have a problem with on this channel. But, guys, this is a fantastic model. This is number 15 in the collection, and yes, I'm jumping ahead quite a bit. I do have all of these as of February 2023, and I couldn't be happier. I will be reviewing all of them as soon as possible, but seeing this in the store, I got mine at Walmart, I was blown away. I think this is fantastic. Beautiful details, some special moving parts, and the stand looks amazing. No ball joints here. It's like a plaque, a base, and I love it. So we definitely have a lot to talk about today, but before we get to the review, let's talk about the size. It measures in just under 4¼ inches or 10.6 centimeters tall, so it's a very nice size piece. So if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is go over the mold, we'll go over all the major points, and then zoom in to see the fine details. Then we'll take a look at the paint, put it on the stand, compare it to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. So let's get started. Alright, let's kick this video off looking at the mold. Just like in all my videos, I'll go over all the major sections, and then we'll get a nice close-up look to see those fine details. So let's begin. First of all, we have our main body, which is also called a troop section. This is probably one of my favorite aspects of the Walker. All in all, this is a very iconic design, very beautiful. I love the angles on the main body. We have nice plate in here, and we have little squares. In this section here, they're all different boarding hatches, which look amazing. Nicely done. We also have little details on the side, and that's the same for this side here. As you can see, all the great detailing. And we'll get a close-up look in just a few. Some details on the top, and it gets real nice in the engine section going downwards, which is cool. Now, the reason why this is called the troop section is because in this body right here is about 2 levels full of seats, guns, materials, and of course troops. And in the aft we do have speeder bikes and whatnot. So really interesting. I would love to see maybe a show or one of these Star Wars cartoons show how all these troops could exit the Walker. That would be awesome. But I guess we gotta wait for that. Anyway, moving on. Underneath, we have our fuel tank, which is about here. Usually it's that round section leading towards the aft. So that's pretty cool. We also have our drive motors down here as well. And that leads us to the legs. But before we get to the legs, we have 2 screws holding the main body together, and 1 screw underneath for the command module. As you can see, it's nicely detailed, and that's for both sides. Copyright crap. Moving on, we do have our legs. Now, of course, we have our different joints, such as the knee joint and ankle joint right here. Nothing, sadly, is movable. It's a static model. You can see these 2 legs are joined together. I know some people like myself would like to see fully articulated walkers by now, but not in the cards. However, it's not a bad piece, and we do have moving parts on here, which I'll get to. So I can see beautifully molded here. I love the pads. I think those look fantastic. No negative space right here for where the ankle connects to the leg, but it's nicely detailed. You can see the pads look fantastic. All 4 of them are done very nicely. And underneath is also detailed. We do have a recess on each one. There are no pegs on a stand, but I think that's just the process of molding. All in all, pretty nicely done. I think the main body looks fantastic. The legs detailed on the front and interior, which is nice. The neck looks beautiful, nicely done there. And you might have noticed the neck does move, and I'll get to that in just a few. And finally, we have our command section, which looks fantastic. Everything here is molded and is done quite nicely. Now, in the command section, we do have targeting sensors, sensor arrays. We have our main viewport right in the front right here. And then we have two sets of guns. These on the sides, these are the medium blasters, and the big guys here are the heavy laser cannons. Now, I think this looks fantastic, but one thing I really like about this is that it does have moving parts, mainly in the neck and head module. So let's take a look at that real quick. Having a closer look at the articulation, the first point we have is where the armored tunnel connects to the troop section here. It can go that far to the left and that far to the right. Now, it may not seem like a lot of articulation, but when combined with the second point, it works quite well, I think. Now, the second point is where the armored tunnel connects to the command section. Right above my finger there, it is a ball joint. And that can move that far to the right. Oops, that far to the left. And because it is a ball joint, we have the ability to go down, up, tilt, and I guess if you wanted to, spin it 360. It goes all the way around, which is pretty cool. Now, if you're wondering how far can the head actually tilt, if I aim the walker straight at the camera, we'll tilt the head, and then the second point there. So that's kind of cool. The final point of articulation we have are the medium blasters located on both sides. I believe there is a rod that goes through the command section that links the two because they move in unison. It isn't hindered by the mold. Nothing really stops them from rotating all the way, but I think there's probably a mechanism in the command section or head, if you will. So the medium blasters can go this far down and this far up before you reach any type of resistance. So it gives you a nice range. All in all, the detail on here and the moving parts are fantastic. I like this thing quite a bit. Now that's real sharp. I love that they did that. It may not have the articulation we would like, but the fact that they added that in is a real nice touch and adds a little customability that we can use as we put this on our shelf to pose it and give it a little of our own personal flair. Such as when I have this on my shelf, I try and get it so it's like shooting down that snow speeder when it flies over right before it blows up the shield generator. Oh, such a great movie. But a really cool piece. I love the detailing on here. So now, let me get a closer look and show you all what we're really paying for on here. Alright, having a closer look, we're going to begin looking at the command section. I love the detailing here. I think Hot Wheels did a fantastic job. Just look at the molding, the panel lines, all these little doodads on the side. We have some recesses. And this section right here that curves up, I love that. It's like a step, like a spiral. And that looks awesome. You can see the detail in there. Pretty nice. And coming down this armor piece that covers the main cannons on the bottom. That's pretty cool as well. I'll move the cannon upwards so we can see more of the detailing. Pretty nice. And as you can tell, there's nothing really flat here. Like, sure, there's flat aspects, but everything has a curve and different angles, which is really cool. For the cannon here, we can see some armor on the side and some nice detailing going down that barrel. Right here at the top, that is a targeting sensor, which looks pretty cool. See if I can turn it so you guys can see it better. Looking very nice. Now the other side is identical. There's really not many differences at all, if any. You can see all the detailings there. Looking nice. Fold it up. Pretty cool. And the medium blaster looks fantastic as well. Pretty nice. For the top, we have some nice molding. Panel lines, little raised sections here and there. To me, that looks awesome. And looking at it from the side, you can see it curves up a little bit and angles down. Very industrial looking, and I love it. Now for the front here, we can see some nice panel lines, some molding. I love the red here. Then underneath, we do have this nice little molded section. Let me turn it so we can see better. There it is, looking sharp. I love that quite a bit. Looking really cool. Nice details are hidden on here. A lot of people just look at this and go, oh, it's an AT-AT, but I don't know, it's a little bit more than usual on here. And I'm a massive fan. Now, underneath the command section, or head if you will, we do have a screw holding it together. And look at the detail in here. The main gun apparatus right here looks fantastic. Nice panel lines, and the molding is exquisite. Turning it to the side, you can see nothing's flat here. Everything's angled up. Nice curves on the bottoms of those main guns. Pretty cool. And believe it or not, there is detailing on the aft section right here, which is pretty nice. They didn't even need to do any of this, but they did, and it's awesome. Somebody worked really hard on this piece. Now for the next piece, known as the neck or armored tunnel, there is a lot of detailing on here. We have the rib section, then we have these braces, which looks kind of cool. It goes all the way around. Sharp. And we have the top there, which is cool. Now for the main body, for the interior, where the armored neck connects to the troop section, we do have some nice detail in there, which looks really cool. And that continues down at the bottom, leading to our engine section underneath. Now let's take a look at the main body now. So this is one thing I did want to mention. I love the model, don't get me wrong, but just like so many Hot Wheels pieces, the paint is an enamel. And what happens is when they set this, cooking it, whatever you would like to call it, the paint sometimes rounds off a lot, and we sort of lose some of those details. I like to say it gets lost in the sauce. But if we look at this section here, you can see our windows, our panel lines, our hatches, everything's here that should be. However, when we come here, yeah, there's some molding down here. We have what looks to be a little door there with a handle. We have a hatch here and some windows. But just look, it's sort of missing. You know what I mean? It sort of blends in because that paint rounds it off here, which is a shame. But, you know, with Hot Wheels, I've come to expect that. The detail's still there. It just sort of lost. You know, it's sort of hard to make out because of that paint. But what are you going to do? Like I mentioned with the center section, the detailing is better. Nicely done. I love this section underneath the hatch here. Pretty nice. And then we have the armor that drops down to protect the engine section. Looking cool. And we have our aft armor piece. We have our windows, our hatch. Nice molding down here. Pretty cool. For the other side, see the details. We have 4 windows here. Couldn't even make them out on the other side. We have our hatch molding down at the bottom. Looking sharp. The center section, again, has some nice detailing. Our hatches. And the armor piece that hangs down. And then our aft piece. Looking great. And one of my favorite aspects of the center is this beautiful angle here. I don't know, I just love how it angles from section to section on here. I don't know, maybe I'm weird. But I just really get a kick out of the details. On the top, we have some nice panel lines, molding, this cool painted section, which, yeah, I think it's a little leaning to the right, but I really had to look at it to call that for certain. But pretty clean. Looking at the top, beautifully detailed. Looks like we have a hatch right here. And the aft, looking great. Really cool. Again, we have some beautiful detailing right here, but the paint is sort of rounding everything off, so it's hard to make out, but really cool. And then we have the back of the AT-AT. And just look at the detail in there. This looks amazing. Pretty cool. I love the molding. All these cool shapes. Looks like little pistons on the side. That is awesome. And the grate at the top. Beautiful stuff. Now underneath, this is where we have all our engines. Our fuel tank should be right here where my thumb is. And we have all our joints. Pretty cool. There's our number there. But really cool. Nothing's flat here either. See, we have a little recess. Some nice line work. Looking sharp. And for the other side, we have our copyright crap. Again, there are some details up there, which is nice. For the underneath, we do have 2 screws holding it together, but some good detailing down here. Some line work in the front, some nice modules coming back. And the paint's kind of messy down there, but the detailing is quite good. And we have some line work here. Sweet. Now for the legs, I'm sort of gonna go through these. We've seen legs like this a million times and they look great. These sections here, I really love. It's like basically these pistons that would go up and down and pull the knee, sort of like muscles or cables, if you will, which are awesome. I can't believe they actually put those in there, but really cool. Then we have our pad, which is also nicely molded. Now, as I go through all these, you could see that there are tons of little details throughout. And obviously, I don't have, tons and tons of time to go through every single aspect. But I just want you guys to be observant that there's tiny little details throughout this piece. I try to be very thorough, but there are times I might miss something, so keep an eye out. But again, fantastic detailing. I like that quite a bit. For the aft leg, you can see again our little cable sections, if you will. Right here we have our knee joint and then the ankle. Now in reality, this piece should be basically negative space, but for the stability of the model, they filled it in. And then of course we have our foot pad again, which is nicely detailed. As you can see, these two are connected. So some people might not like that, but it works. We have our piston right here, which is just connected for stability. Should be negative space there. But it's basically a connector piece that functions like a piston, so that way it doesn't topple over. But, they just made it a triangle there. And we have our foot pad. Nicely detailed. You can see the detail better on this side. And then we go up the leg. And then beautifully done mold. And then for our final leg. Very nice. And I love the detailing they did on the pad. They didn't even need to do all this. But it's really cool. And the coolest part is they molded both sides. So here's the interior of the first leg we looked at. And it's beautifully done. Here's the aft interior, which is nice. And finally, the interior for the other side of the legs. You can see all these beautiful molded pieces. Just very nice. Different layers, little recessed areas. Excellent stuff. And before we move on to the different sections in the video, we have the bottoms of the foot pads, which, I keep saying it, but they didn't even need to mold all this. It could have just been flat, but it looks great. Even the little, toes, if you will, have detailing, which is unexpected. Which is very cool. And when you put it all together, you really have a fantastic looking model. Pretty awesome. Alright, so getting away from the mold, let's talk about the paint on the Hot Wheels Star Wars AT-AT. This bad boy has about 5 different colors. The main color is a nice light gray, followed by gray, dark gray, and then we have red for the viewport. I think all these colors work well together, but what really makes the details pop is the dark gray wash they use, which really gets in all these nooks and crannies, and to some it may seem a little sloppy from point to point, but I think it really showcases some of the model's really hard to see details. Truth be told, I really do enjoy this paint scheme. I think it looks fantastic. And that's basically everything I have to say about the mold as well as the paint. So now let's put this bad boy on a stand, compare it to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. And just like other Hot Wheels ships, we do get an awesome looking stand. As always, it is very glossy, looking great. We have Hot Wheels on the right hand side, Star Wars on the left, copyright crap underneath. Then we have little recesses for the pads of the walker, insignia for the Imperials, and the name AT-AT. All in all, this looks fantastic. Now, to get the ship on here, just place it flat like so, grab your item, and the feet, since they're static, will go right into the shape, as you can see. And it's secure enough. The walker is very heavy, so it's not going to be falling over unless something hits it and knocks it. As you can see, I'm tapping it and it's staying in place. So, all in all, it's a great looking stand. For a quick size comparison with the Hot Wheels Star Wars Starships Select AT-AT seen in the center, I have it next to some other walkers. First, on the left hand side, we have the normal 3-inch Hot Wheels AT-AT walker, and you can see the massive size difference and detail difference between the two. And on the right hand side, we have the Takara Tomy First Order AT-AT. A little different design, but you can see it matches up with the Hot Wheels scale. And all I have to say is, each one of these pieces are good in their own way. Which one do you like the most? And now for an added bonus size comparison with the AT-AT seen in the center, I have some other Hot Wheels Star Wars Starships Select vehicles. First, on the right hand side, we have the Imperial Star Destroyer looking fantastic. And then on the left hand side, we have the Imperial TIE Fighter, another awesome addition to the collection. All in all, I may have my little gripes with the ball joint connectors of the stands, but just look at these ships. Together, they look amazing. The stands are very collector friendly, and they look very professional. I love the silver insignia and the fact that we actually have a name on it. It's sort of like a plaque. That looks great. The ships are molded beautifully and they're painted exquisitely for what they are. The fact that even with an AT-AT walker we still got a base for it, or a stand if you will, is amazing. And just for kicks, let me move these over just a bit. I'll show you this way. I'll move the camera just a smidge. And sure, the AT-AT head right here, the command section, is overlapping the Imperial Star Destroyer. But when you have these on a shelf, or however you display them, this looks amazing. What do you guys think about this? I really dig it. Before I move on, as always, if you would like to see reviews of any of the other ships I showcased today, please check the links in the description below. And that does it today for my review of the Hot Wheels Star Wars Starship Select AT-AT, released in 2023. This is number 15 in the collection, and I have to say, this is a fantastic piece. I love the mold on here. As we saw, every component that we would associate with an AT-AT is present. We have panel lines, the structures are all there, little race sections, and it even has some moving parts on here. We have a side-to-side motion on the armored tunnel for the neck. Then we have a ball joint for the command section, and that's not all. We do have some rotating medium blasters as well. Now, it may not be the amount of articulation we would get from, say, a Marvel Legends, but it's nice that they gave us some moving parts to put some of our own touches on it on the shelf, if you will. You know, getting it in that nice little pose that means something to you. All in all, some people may want more articulation, but I think for a static statue with some moving parts, I think it works quite well. And now moving on to the paint, Hot Wheels did a fantastic job on this. We have 5 different colors working together to really bring this walker to life, and I think they succeeded. As we saw throughout this review, we have light gray, gray, dark gray, and this gray wash that really fills in the surface areas and nooks and crannies, and really makes some of the detail on here pop. Now, normally I go on and on about black wash or dark washes, but I think a black wash on here would have been overkill, big time. So I think going with a lighter wash, such as this gray, which is a little darker, really works quite well. It gets in all those panel lines and really makes the finer details pop on this piece, which I'm very happy for. Moving on, this piece also comes with a brilliant stand, which I think is fantastic. It goes well with the rest of the stands in the collection, even though it's more of a base piece. But the fact that it has the Imperial insignia and the AT-AT typed on there, excellent work. I like it very much. And that's about everything I have to say about this awesome looking piece today. If you enjoyed today's review, smash that like button. And if you'd like to see new reviews every week, subscribe. Again, to all of you out there, thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic schedules to watch my content. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody!